Sir, if I may, how was I supposed to know the panel would explode?
That point is not relevant, Ms. Monroe.
So Monroe is a bit of a hot shot, doesn't keep the cool head kind of person.
Has there ever been a Star Trek game that lets you just free roam around the entire Enterprise?
This is the first one.
Had you followed
You could explore the whole Enterprise?
you may have survived.
Well, it's not the Enterprise, it's Voyager, but the expansion pack to this is literally just, hey, here's all the Voyager, like, levels we made, and you can just navigate around and, like, pick up collectibles and shit. Push buttons.
I mean, yeah, it seems...
Deck 4.
You know, the Enterprise is an example of a ship where it's mapped out. The Enterprise is an example of a ship where it has been mapped out in its entirety, where there's a lot of demand for a game that just gives you the fantasy of kind of roaming around and seeing crew members doing their thing.
Like, did you ever see that Stage 9, like, fan thing that was, like, just, like, the Enterprise D interiors, that later got a cease and desist from CBS because fuck fun, I guess. But that was, like, a few years ago. I know they were doing it in Unity. I actually have a copy of it on my hard drive, which I should really back up somewhere so that I can still use it when, you know, that hard drive inevitably goes kaput. Though I'll bet you could probably find it on torrents or whatever.
Yeah, you know. It seems unlikely that the internet would just let that one croak.
Maybe we need to send a clearer message. Target their weapon systems and
so this game is, like, it gets a lot of things right and does a lot of really cool stuff. We're just basically watching an episode of Voyager in Engine right now. And they've got all of the cast of Voyager, which is one of the things that the sequel will not do as well at, because it's you hook up with Picard and you're on the Enterprise in the sequel, but it's like after Nemesis, so nobody's around anymore. Data's dead.
Patrick
Riker
Stewart
and Troy are on a different ship. Worf is explicitly on leave, so Tuvok can be there, and they forgot about Geordi LaForge, I guess. Oh, and Crusher is also not around.
I'm actually a little bit surprised to hear that Patrick Stewart has voice acted himself. I almost said himself. Has voice acted Picard in a few video games.
He's done it in several. He seems to be, like, game for doing it when was, you know, back when Star Trek was a thing.
Primary systems are offline until repairs are made.
I mean, it's still a thing, but, you know, Star Trek was dominant when Voyager came around, and it's very much not that anymore.
He also voiced Professor Xavier in X-Men, the official video game, 2006.
Oh God. What do you think that game was like?
I mean, he was Uriel Septim. That's how all the people watching will know him.
Yeah.
True, yeah. Let's blow literally our entire voice budget on 5 minutes of Patrick Stewart and then Sean Bean, and we'll just have like 3 other people do all the rest of the voices.
52% on Metacritic.
Okay. I have to say it's... Oh, never mind. I thought they were going to do the whole Voyager intro. If they did the Voyager intro,
this
straight
is the
from
whole
Voyager
intro. It's literally it's from... They put a VHS tape and digitized it, but for some reason they didn't use the music, and
probably for rights
they put their own titles over it.
Yeah.
I guess, maybe, but, you know, they've got the Star Trek license. Would that really...
Wait, did you just see that the programming lead of this fucking video game had the last name Monroe?
Oh, maybe that's where it came from.
It was spelled different, but still.
So let's talk about Star Trek Voyager. I don't really like Voyager. I think it, like I said, it can do individual episodes, you know, that are fantastic, but as a show itself, it sucks. It is not the worst Star Trek, thanks to the existence of Enterprise, but it's not one of the better ones. And there's been a lot of Voyager apologia lately in the community. Oh, was Voyager all that bad? And I will not have any of that shit. Voyager sucked. It's a very conservative show,
Captain's
And I
log,
say that
stardate
both in terms of its
53854.7.
complete inability
Voyager was
to
attacked by an
commit to
unknown
its
force and transported
premise
to some
at
kind
all.
of starship graveyard. Whereabouts unknown.
Oh, I've got a heads
The
up
ship is
warning
heavily
on the
damaged.
YouTube stream. We detected
Communications,
copyrighted
propulsion,
audio
and
and
other
video in your
systems are
stream.
offline.
Is the fucking
Until repairs
Elite
are done,
Force
we're utterly helpless.
fucking
Stranded.
theme copyrighted
Let's
somewhere?
get this ship back to Tote. Get damage control.
Rights
Alright, well,
issues, man.
Let me know if the stream breaks for you.
Man, we will. No, it's still fine. We will be in the Star Trek future before we don't have to worry about rights issues on shit like this.
Anyway, as I was saying, Voyager is conservative both in its complete unwillingness to actually to entertain any kind of commitment to its premise or any kind of change in storytelling, like that pushes it beyond what had essentially been arrived at by the Next Generation Season 6. And also because this game is a very politically, or this series is a very politically conservative show, like maybe the most conservative Star Trek show, period.
Good. Who's fixing the data shunt here?
Showers and Chell, sir.
Good.
Like,
Runners on the Jeffries.
to give you an example, so Star Trek The Next Generation starts out, and Gene Roddenberry, having thoroughly drunk his own Kool-Aid at this point, they wanna make a new villain race, right? So they come up with the Ferengi, who are grubby capitalists, and they're literally described as Yankee traitors in the episode where they first show up, and it's a complete disaster, and nobody likes the Ferengi. Nobody can take them seriously because they're ridiculous, and you know they just kind of immediately get dropped as villains, and it really isn't until Deep Space Nine that they get rehabilitated at all.
Sorry, Monroe.
By comparison, Voyager also starts a
Monroe, quick! Hit that panel and shut
I'm
it.
pushing the power button. There we go. Voyager also develops an initial villain species that we've never seen before, the Kazon. And I should point out, like, I'm pointing out like the capitalist being villains in the Next Generation, because it says like a lot about the Next Generation's politics, and the Next Generation is extremely consistent on that point. Like, capitalism bad, like all the way up into First Contact, where Picard literally says, yeah, there's no money and nobody cares about profit motive or, you know, the acquisition of wealth anymore. Cut to Voyager, and they're developing Voyager, and they want to create a new early initial villain race. And what do they do? What do they come up with? Well, they come up with the Kazon, and rather than doing what the Next Generation did and going for something that's like explicitly anti-capitalist, they instead make the Kazon based on, and in their interviews have described like we wanted to reflect the tenor of the time, they make the Kazon based on LA street gangs.
Oh no.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
and
it's
that
not good.
itself is like should give you an idea of where Voyager goes politically. And I'm not like, this is not some subtle thing. Like in their initial notes, they were using terms like Bloods and Crips. Like, you know, not subtle at all.
Looks like the explosion took out these two aft turbulents.
I remember getting stuck on this puzzle thinking I had to jump over this or something, but no, you have to go around the other way.
Debris from this one when the EPS conduits overloaded.
Great.
Looks like you can
And
jump.
it actually and they are like primitive raiders who want to like defeat Voyager and take their stuff. And it gets worse. It gets so much worse because in season 2 there's an episode where we discovered that the Kazon were not originally, you know, the mean gang raiders that they are. Originally, they were a slave species, and they got together and put on a massive slave revolt and overthrew their previous masters, the trade. And like all the technology they have is actually, you know, technology that this other race made. They didn't make their ships or anything. And of course, so after successfully liberating themselves from slavery, they immediately just go around raiding everything. And the moral of the episode where that is all revealed is, well, both sides were wrong. It's it's not good. It's some bad
Yeah,
shit.
That is a really historically brain-dead take on that topic.
Yeah.
What were we going to say earlier, Chris? You had a
We've got
point.
warp core breach in progress.
No, I
You
didn't.
need to get in there and shut it down. There are two things you have to
I was going to say some dumb shit about Jeffrey's tubes, but Josh is actually talking about stuff that's relevant.
Then go to the upper level and
Well, what did you want to say about Jeffries, dude?
It's weird that the game is so eager to reference that particular bit of random Star Trek lore that kind of everybody knows that it's like the second mission is let's go into some Jeffries tubes. I just think that's weird.
I mean, they sent us into a Jeffrey tube in the tutorial. I mean, that is the cool thing about this game. Like, it's, you know, the first Star Trek game where you're running around and, you know, the sets for Voyager exist right now. Like, you know, when this game is being developed. Like, Voyager's not over yet, so they could probably, like, go and, you know, look at the sets and take detailed measurements. And I don't know if they actually did that, but, you know, it was available to them. And you get this very lovingly recreated
Power relays must be cut in order to decouple the access.
you get this very lovingly recreated Voyager interior that's really cool.
Warp core breach in
As long as you're not me and think the interior design of Voyager sucks a lot. But
decoupled.
even at that, it's cool to just like be able to run around these sets in a, you know, in a shooter in September 2000 when this game came out.
The thing I always
so, yeah,
loved
they do
about
a lot of that stuff.
That was touch and go there
Oh, go
for
ahead.
a little while.
No, I was finishing the point.
No
Unless
problem,
Red Sky was trying to say something.
Nope.
Okay, let's get a cleanup crew in here. Seal that leak.
Back to you.
I don't think radiation clears out that fast.
For it.
No.
Yeah, well, it's Star Trek where you can often just get an inoculation to, like, reduce the effects of radiation, which is not how radiation works either. So, you know,
Boom! Here's
This
your
is
rabies shot.
this is the series that did the episode where Tom Paris goes to infinite speed, and then he and Janeway turn into salamanders. So, you know, this is not... They do not play super serious, hard sci-fi with their references to scientific concepts in this series.
I know I will play a game which is inspired by several conversations I have unwittingly starting on the show in the past. So here it goes. I'm going to name a game idea, and you guys are going to tell me which game either did it or almost did it.
All right.
Here it is. You're on a Star Trek style ship, and there's a Star Trek episode happening, but it's way above your pay grade, and all you get is like bits and pieces and alarming red herrings as you're just trying to like mop the space floors or something.
Is it like red shirts?
Like, I feel like Diaries of a
Screen
Spaceport Janitor is probably something like that. I don't know.
I would say either red shirts or the space theme levels of the Viscera cleanup detail.
Yeah,
I was
that
gonna
is
say,
kind of
isn't
like that, I
Viscera
guess.
cleanup detail kind of that?
Yeah, I just like the idea of like a more intimate role-playing experience where you're kind of like trying to get through your workday, maybe like, you know, working with other crew members, and also trying not to focus on the fact that like the captain just ran down the hall with only one arm and like a dog growing out his neck or something.
That would be really funny.
It's like I need to get my rabies shot today because I'm going to the like squirrel world tomorrow on vacation. Oh, the doctor can't see you. Why not? She fucked a ghost and now she's delivering an ectoplasmic baby. Can I reschedule? When is that gonna? We don't know. Probably in 35 to 40 minutes.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What are we shooting right now?
This is the gun that these guys have. So these are
No,
so
like-
we kind of glossed over the initial like explanation of what the hell's going on, but basically Voyager was attacked by a ship. It destroyed the ship, and then it immediately got transported to this place where there's a dampening field that is preventing Voyager from using its engines to leave, and we don't know where we are. The sensors are down, and then some scavengers showed up and boarded the ship. And that's those people. And
So-
this is their gun.
Can I say something maybe a little controversial?
Go for it.
Is Star Trek Voyager the Mass Effect Andromeda of the Star Trek universe?
Kinda, yeah.
Man, I'm really looking forward to seeing huge arguments about everything you guys are saying, except Enterprise sucks.
I mean, Enterprise being flawed, I think, is extremely uncontroversial at this point.
So, I guess one of the things that's confusing me is I feel like some of the people we're shooting are Klingons. Is that true?
They are. Yeah, so it'll turn out
I thought we were in the premise of Voyager is that we got through a warp hole or whatever, and we ended up at the ass end of the universe. And, like, even with warp travel, it will take us years and years and years and years and years to get home.
Yes. So I guess the idea is, like, the probes that this thing sent out go pretty far.
The intruders have been repelled.
But also, this is not the only time Klingons will show up in Voyager. They run into a Klingon ship at some point, like...
Lieutenant Foster.
You know, again, Voyager is a very conservative show, and it is very eager to go and play with Alpha Quadrant stuff, that is to say, other Berman-era Trek stuff, you know, if it can find a way to justify doing it, and by justify, I mean, you know, give a technobabble explanation.
We have detected an energy dampening field surrounding the area that is draining Voyager's systems of power. For the moment, we are trapped like the other ships.
For the record, when Tuvok says we've been transported to an area of space we're not familiar with, he's talking about a third area of space, not the original Federation, and not the place they got teleported to with the pilot of the show.
Look at that fucking lantern jaw dude.
Are offline at the moment.
Which one?
The captain's current strategy.
Oh, I really hope they cut back to him. Just like the blonde guy.
Oh yes.
What's the deal with our
That is
We do not
Biff.
have much information about them as of yet, Mr. Beeson. They
Who's
appear to be
Biff?
scavengers of some sort.
From back to
Thomas F. Wilson.
Humans and maybe
Oh.
short-range sensors operational. We have been unable
Did we
to
not
locate
talk
vessels
about this earlier? Am I
I
misremembering
totally
things that happened 30 minutes ago?
However,
We've talked about a lot of
there are
voice
vessels
actors.
nearby. While sensors indicate no life signs, we have
I also just thought he was
detected
Ensign
power source
Biff.
on board. Our hope is that their computer systems are still
He's,
operational and contain
Ken
information about
Beesman,
this
I
area.
think?
The hazard team will transport onto this vessel and retrieve any files.
There's a lot
that
of
are
fun
intact.
names.
Ensign Beesman is a really good name.
Actually, it's crewman, because he's not
While your
even...
superstitious beliefs are quite illogical, Mr. Bell,
Star Trek and enlisted ranks do not get along well in general, so everybody's an officer. And everybody who's not an officer is just a crewman, which apparently is one rank.
Isn't that kind of unprofessional? Like, when someone discusses their religious beliefs or their spiritual beliefs in a Starfleet briefing, to be like, your shit sucks. You are dumb. I've got a subreddit you should visit.
I mean, it's Tuvok, he's a Vulcan. That's what Vulcans do.
The Vulcan art of the microaggression.
The technicians
Oh,
should
yeah.
be protected at all costs to ensure retrieval of this information. Any questions?
Sounds like a cakewalk.
Why would you say that?
See the quartermaster, Oviedo, in the equipment room. Gear up.
There are
then
several
report to
good,
Transporter Room
like,
1.
why would you say that moments in this game.
Man, this era of really, like, decent quality textures on very low poly models is very hard to revisit.
It's interesting, there's like dithering visible in the textures too. Like, look at this shit. You can't really see it from a distance, but when you get up close to it, it's...
No,
like,
yeah, I see what you mean.
That's a little strange. I wonder if there's like a mod that cleans up some of these textures.
They managed to survive this long. I wonder where their ship is.
Oh yeah, I remember. So this was one of those games that was like around in the years of file planet as a completely unregulated thing, so there were just like a ton of nude mods for this game everywhere, and you didn't even have to like look for them. You just run into them if you went to the file planet section for this game.
Oh, be still my heart.
And of course, like, you know, it's these models, right? Like,
yep. It's just going to be a texture wrapped onto their skin suits.
Right.
Man, I can't believe I'm getting.
Oh, like the whole the heads just have the necks that go down, and then they move the whole thing.
Relax, Ken. There'll be plenty of other missions.
Yeah, Ken. They're just saving the best.
That's gruesome. And you'd spend a long time downloading that texture too.
Ms. Durant, while we have some extra time, I thought we'd review first aid.
Like you would like that. Like downloading that texture would be a modest investment of your time and bandwidth.
I did go through.
Yeah, back on the 56K days. This game also had a multiplayer mode that was at one time like fairly popular. And it's just basically Quake 3 Arena with the weapons from this game, which are mostly Quake 3 Arena guns. So,
Doctor,
don't you have something to?
I was hoping you were gonna heal me because I only got 26 health left, and this seems like a bad thing to do running into an alien spaceship with. But okay, sure, fine.
I have literally never played Quake 3 Arena.
Don't make me feel old, Redscarn. God damn it.
Oh no, I played Unreal Tournament. I just didn't play Quake 3.
Oh, sweet.
Anyway, I just fell down a YouTube hole because all this stuff with Tuvok in it just reminded me of that Upright Citizens Brigade sketch. And, wow, Upright Citizens Brigade, some sketches have not aged well.
What sketch was this?
The Little Donnie sketch, but Little Donnie is a kid with, a disease they're trying to raise money for, but the kid is just obsessed with Tuvok from, Voyager.
Speaking of...
I'll give Josh some links to put in the description.
Speaking of multiplayer, there are also... You can go into the holodeck to test out different weapons, I think 3 or 4 different times between missions. And this is a multiplayer map that's populated by really dumb bots that also have shotguns, which I wish I had a shotgun right now.
I'm actually getting huge deja vu to a map in the game Outlaws. This has like the same layout.
I'm gonna laugh if it's just the Alamo. Just all these levels are just the Alamo.
we should play
Actually,
Outlaws
this level is called
point.
High Noon, I think.
It's an interesting title. I wouldn't go so far as to say it's aged well. It would be very sort of hard for it to, given its era, but...
Is this mandatory?
No. This is completely side content. We don't actually have to do this, but...
I think, like, so LucasArts made, like, 2 basic kinds of game, right? They made their kind of colorful, campy adventure games, and then they made their more serious, like, Star Wars-y action games. And I want to say that Outlaws was the only real intersection of those 2 schools of design.
I don't think I ever played Outlaws.
It was a
It's
first-person shooter with like a cartoon aesthetic.
Yeah.
And then cartoon cutscenes.
Just run into the transporter while they're going. Aw. Always wondered what would happen.
I'm stuck. I can't move.